Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and I'll be hosting this episode with my co-hosts Amanda and Christian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from The Empire Strikes Back. By the end of this episode, we will have a definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. Now, with that said, let's get this show started. Amanda, for the three people in this world that haven't seen The Empire Strikes Back, what's it all about?
So some time has passed since the ending of A New Hope, and we follow up with Luke, Han, and Leia being attacked by the Imperial forces and their impressive AT-AT walkers on the ice planet of Hoth. Han and Leia escape in the Falcon while Luke travels to the planet of Dagobah to find Yoda, a Jedi Master that will help him begin his training. Only by learning the Force can Luke prepare to face the ultimate duel against Darth Vader.
Ooh.
Nice.
It was okay.
Wow.
Oh, no, it's good.
Goodness.
It's a great movie. Some might even call it the best Star Wars movie.
Some might say that. I would say that.
You would say
I gave it a perfect score. It's
Fives
just
across the board?
Fives across the board.
You gave it an entirely perfect score for everything. There wasn't one thing that could have been better in your mind.
I enjoy it that much, and I truly think when you can do something like Empire, like with this sequels in general, there's pressure up to them.
It's hard to follow up.
You know, sequels have this different rubric to go about them, but Empire, if you really think about every category, stories, characters, technical aspects, the lore and the music, it really does take everything up a notch more from A New Hope.
Oh,
if all you have is to compare it to A New Hope, Empire does something really special as a sequel. And like, think of all the greats of sequels that we have today, like Dark Knight, Two Towers,
Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah, like we get like sequels. There are few and far between that are like top notch better than the original, and when you can do that, that's something special.
Oh yeah.
Empire does that, I think, in every category. And one of the examples that I love to use is the fight scene, like the sword play between Luke and Vader. That whole scene of not only the choreography being better, it looks much better than the fight from Obi and Darth Vader, and the story behind it, like, it means so much more. It has one of the most iconic quoted lines of all time, not just Star Wars, but of all time. He's like, "No, I am your father," and like,
yeah.
That right there, I think the formula for this movie just fits like that fight scene right there. So to me, there are a lot of other things I could say about it, but that's kind of like my initial boom. Get ready, this is Empire ranked.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. This movie comes out and it's like truly much more of a cinematic film than A New Hope was. You can tell that the first film was a hit and they were like, okay, here's more money.
Yeah.
Like, it just has better pacing. It just feels crisper. I also noticed there's more like unique shots and levels in it. You get shots like, there was a moment where I think like Luke is talking to Han, who's like on the ground or something, and you're getting more panning shots and things that are just more technically, I don't know, just crisper.
Yeah, it's great cinematography. I'm glad you brought that up, because something we don't, I guess, talk about that much, but Irvin Kirshner directed this one. It wasn't George Lucas. George Lucas was very much involved with this one, and he even, I think I remember reading somewhere, like, he said he was financing it himself for the most part. And then Irvin Kirshner was like, hey, man, we're running out of money and all this. And, like, he showed some bank, like, hey, this is what we've got so far. And then they helped him finish it off. But
thank God they did.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you gave it perfect scores all around. Amanda, you kind of dinged it pretty hard on the music. You know, Imperial March was introduced in this movie.
I know. Okay. by dinged it, I still gave it a 90 out of 100.
Pretty
so,
good.
Okay. It was still pretty good. The music, I feel like it supported the movie as it needed to. So it didn't take away from it in any way.
Yeah.
The characters all are better.
It's a 70. Give it a 3.5 out of 5.
But I mean total for the whole movie.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. The characters, you can tell that some time has passed and that their relationships have gotten stronger. So the tension between Han and Leia, the relationships between even Han and Luke, like everyone, there's been things that have happened off screen and you feel like you've missed these people when you see them again.
Chewie gets more lines.
He gets more grunts and much longer vocalizations.
Yeah, we get more of Chewie.
Yeah, Chewie's my my MVP of this episode.
And I think what's cool for me too is the relationship between Han and Leia seems so much more real than anything you'd get maybe in like the previous movie where a lot of the relationships felt, as I said before, very tropey. But this one, again, it seems far more human. And I love how much all the different imprints people had on the movie. Like, I think what the line was when Princess Leia says, "I love you," he was supposed to respond with, "I love you too." And Harrison Ford's like, he wouldn't say that. So as he goes down, we get the iconic "I know." And
so iconic.
Oh, I know. Or when he stops her in the hallway.
Yeah.
After calling him scruffy looking nerve herder. And it's there's a lot of that. You really buy into that romance so much so it stirs her up enough to kiss her brother just to make Han jealous. And like it's pretty far.
So,
considering she's
I
always
love their
known
lines.
It's her brother.
He's like, "You could use a good kiss."
So funny.
I actually like watching this again. Han in the beginning starts to step over that bounds like a little bit much. Like it wouldn't work in today's world. Like we'd be like, dude, take a hint. But it works in that Leia actually does have those underlying feelings for him. And because Carrie Fisher is just a fantastic actress and looks fantastic on screen every moment that she lingers there thinking about how much she hates that she loves him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think of that moment when she's like trying to work on something and he's talking to her and then she like hurts her hand and he's like rubbing her hand and it's just like it lingers on for much, but then it works. Like they go into a kiss and then C-3PO interrupts.
Yeah. Well, I did not give this movie or the story element of this movie a perfect score.
Why?
Gave it a very high score.
It has like the biggest twist.
What brought it down? What kept it from giving you a
4.2 out of 5.
Score? Okay.
So for me, again, still very high. For me, it's tough with a lot of middle movies and trilogies where they don't get to kick off anything new and get to starting questions and get you to be curious, and they don't get to conclude anything. So that's a tough thing for me.
It's a bridge. You have problems with bridges. You don't like bridges, do you?
I don't like bridges. My grandpa was a civil engineer. I just can't. No bridges. No, no. Don't introduce me to Jeff Bridges. Don't put him in Star Wars. I won't see the movie. No.
The grid or the galaxy.
Yeah.
See, I gave the story a 5 because I feel like it works so well in that place because by the end of the film you're like, oh my gosh, I need 25 more of these.
Yeah, and you're given a cliffhanger, but still like a completed
what's gonna
story.
Happen?
Yep.
Yeah. Again, still 4.2 out of
it's still really good.
Very
it's a
high.
good score, yeah.
Just not perfect. Whereas like I love like the ending of Return of the Jedi. I love that conclusion. Same reason why again people like there's so many people that love The Two Towers. Again, another fantastic movie. Just not my favorite in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but
I get it.
Although this is my favorite in this original trilogy.
Yeah, I also wanted to pull out of the immersive universe. We get a lot more. We learn a lot more about the Force. We get to see levitation. We get to see pulls and push. So that expands the whole universe
Yeah.
a lot more too.
We do learn about the Force. I love that you brought that up. We get to see new planets.
Yeah.
We are given, kind of segueing into the characters too, but like Darth Vader now has a boss, like an actual boss.
Yeah.
We get the Emperor, and like there's that Force, like that takes that learning of the Force knowledge aspect, takes that up a notch, because he's got this master. They're talking about turning Luke, and like using them for that, and think how much of a powerful ally he'd be at that, and yeah. Lando's introduced in this one,
which was a great addition, I think, especially with the underlying love story between Leia and Han.
Yep.
Like Lando is really swaggy and like, hey, Mama, well, let me see you walk this way. And you're like, maybe she will like him. Maybe she's like, Han is trying too hard.
You totally could, like, if these are the only two movies you've seen, you're like, Lando has a legitimate shot at Leia.
He seems more princess quality.
Oh, yeah, and he's got a cape.
He's got a cape.
Yeah.
A debonair.
Yeah.
Persona,
I just love when he's like, how you doing, you old pirate? And like he does his fake out with
got a lot of nerve coming here.
After what you pulled.
It's literally how Han is greeted everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
You got a lot of nerve.
That's so true.
Tell that to Kanja Club.
Oh, man. It's so fun. It never ends. It never ends until he ends. Oh, now I'm sad. Well, anyway, okay. So, technical aspects. We all gave this movie a perfect score. I don't know if, again, there's a whole lot to talk about there.
We also get like the first jump to light speed.
Oh,
which
I
is
forgot
like
about that.
super iconic and
very.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we didn't get that in A New Hope.
I know.
But yeah, like the technical aspects, like they did stop motion, like we get the AT-ATs part of the lore, but we get stop motion film printed on top of, forgive my language on the other film, and like they mold that together. This movie had twice as many practical effects as A New Hope did. And we're like on Dagobah, like you get the puppetry of Yoda and Frank Oz, which that was done in his pool, in George Lucas's unfinished pool on his property.
Yeah. Well, okay. Tell me if this is just a terrible take. Because this isn't even really a take. It's more of a question. But it seems to me like the AT-ATs were poorly designed. They can only shoot one direction. It takes forever and a day for them to completely turn around. Again, not very mobile for these speeders with harpoons to just be able to...
Yeah, it's not very economic or utility-wise.
Yeah, it's not really using the knowledge of your enemy.
Yeah.
From
my understanding, it's meant to just transport a large number of troops from A to B to just help them get there.
But that's also what ships are for.
Exactly. So...
And they're a lot faster.
Yeah. I think, though, like the AT-ATs, for this time, it was like, these are representing tanks in war.
Yeah.
And tanks kind of have that clunkiness to them, too.
But they're also intimidating.
Yeah, they're intimidating.
And they have like that 360.
Yeah, and I would argue, they have more utility than the AT-AT. But I think the AT-AT has that menacing tank, purposeful.
It's so
tank
unique too. Like we've never seen anything like that before, and then to also see how they end up taking it down, and just that animation of that stop motion you were talking about is so cool.
Now, speaking of stop motion, I don't also love what seems for me like a filler scene with the big asteroid worm.
Oh, I love it.
Really?
I do. It's like, you're just missing.
I always think of Pinocchio.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. It's fine. I don't hate it, but it definitely feels kind of like the filler point in the movie.
I gotcha. I could see that happening. I'm entertained by it. I like the highs and the lows.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm still not over the fact that Amanda gave the music a 3.5. I mean, I don't know. I find when obviously we have the Imperial March, which is iconic. But when Yoda lifts the X-wing.
Oh, that's a great music moment.
It's a miraculous moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I think isn't Leia's theme introduced in this movie too? I believe.
No,
Or is it A New Hope?
I feel like it was in A New Hope.
Okay.
I teased most of it.
All right. Well, I give this music a 2 then. No. Change everything. No. It's this music is fantastic. I mean, so much so that I'm going to go see tomorrow, actually. There's like a cinematic orchestra experience where you get to go see the movie live.
I'm so jealous I don't get to go to that.
Yeah, and there's an orchestra playing.
The Omaha Symphony, people.
Yeah.
It's freaking
Support
awesome.
the arts.
I went to the one they did for A New Hope, and it's so amazing to just witness the orchestra playing in real time with the movie on the big screen with the movie. So I am so pumped to see it for my favorite.
I know.
Empire Strikes Back.
Christian and I are not going together. They're playing 2 separate days. We made sure to coordinate because really the most we can sit together is just on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
That's it.
We can only disagree so much.
I know. Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. Well, with all that said, what's your favorite part of this movie? If you have to pick one singular thing that sticks out to you the most. And I know, Christian, that's really hard because you're like, all of it. All of it. I want the whole movie. But if you had to pick one, what would you go with?
I mean, I classically love and have to go with the reveal of I'm your father. But I also love it when he cuts open the Tauntaun and saves Luke's life. That's genius.
Yeah, that was cool.
This is great.
When I was a little kid, I watched this at 6, I 100% thought he cut open Luke's gut.
You're like, why
What are you doing?
He's doing surgery.
I was very confused. I turned 8 and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Okay. No, I think I'd have to go with the beginning of the fight between Vader and Luke, only because I remember that fight so well when I was a kid, because it was legitimately terrifying. What does he say to him? He says something like, Obi-Wan has trained you well, but you are not a Jedi yet.
You are not a Jedi yet.
I'm like, oh, James Earl Jones just killed those lines. And I might have butchered the beginning of that, but I just remember the feeling. And you see his silhouette only.
Yeah.
And it's
it just, the stakes feel really high.
Yeah.
And yeah, the choreography is obviously a lot better, and it's a little bit more cinematic too. They're moving around the area.
Yeah.
It's not just one hallway.
Also, speaking of moments people love or hate from this movie, what do we think of Crazy Yoda testing Luke?
Goofy Yoda?
Yeah, I personally dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Yoda's a very kind of risky character to try to introduce to a totally new audience for the first time. That definitely had to take a lot of work to get him to look right and move right and make sense. I recently watched Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, so I learned a lot more appreciation for the puppeteers and what goes into that, and that was just so fascinating. And I love that Star Wars has always had a place for those type of practical puppets.
Yeah. It really is awesome and a tribute to the puppeteers, because watching it, I'm not thinking about the puppeteer because I'm thinking about Yoda. I'm thinking about that character.
Because didn't they have to build up the studio set?
Yeah,
for
people
Dagobah?
had to be able to stand below it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's just really cool to have this character of Yoda helping educate us and Luke about the Force. So we're learning more about it, and those slower scenes are juxtaposed against the faster chase scenes, and I think that's what helps the movie, with the pacing of all of it and making it enjoyable. It's great.
One of my favorite parts of this movie, I was going to say Han and Leia, but now that we're talking about it, when Luke has his dream and he sees Vader's helmet fall,
cryptic.
and it's him. Yeah, I love how dark this one starts to get and introspective, and it starts to slowly reveal that that twist at the end, but you still don't see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good moment to really love it. Like, there's something that draws me personally to like a darker story.
Oh yeah.
And just that's part of what I love about Empire, but it's also got some funny lines. Like I love Han's lines in this movie. Like when he's about to leave at the beginning, they're like, Skywalker hasn't come back. He's like, what do you mean? And like he immediately just goes for him, and he's like, where is he? He's like, it's possible he came in through the south. And he's like, it's possible. Why don't you go find out? And like, it's
so cute.
I love it.
Because especially Han in the first movie is like very egocentric and very cocky. And by this one, we see him even give Lando permission to like fly the Falcon again. And that shows the risk that he's willing to take to help his friends, which like pushes their character so much further.
Very much so. That's like good to mention. And like his character, everyone's character gets a great treatment, a healthy dose of like furthering what they are,
learning something new about themselves. Yeah.
Yep.
Do we have a worst moment from this movie? From this very, very good movie. For me, it's the space worm. It's not even terrible.
This movie introduces my least favorite droid of all, and it's the probe droids. I hate probe droids.
Why?
Because they're like spidery. I don't like the multi-eye faceted thing and like the creepy little arms, but I think it's a really great designed piece, and like it's meant to be like creepy.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah. All right.
Gosh, I don't know, man. It's hard to.
It's a perfect movie. There's nothing he didn't like.
Yeah,
it's really.
He just like that it wasn't longer.
I will mention I was freaked out by the Ugnaughts, like the pig-like figures when C-3PO is all taken apart and whatnot.
Isn't that the same being in the Mandalorian?
Yeah, Quill. No, like Quill.
This is the way.
Oh
no, sorry. No, I have spoken.
Yes, yeah.
Ugnaught, I think is how you pronounce it or whatnot. Like the shorter piglets, and like they're squealing, and C-3PO is like taken apart. And like as a kid, I'm like, C-3PO is a person or like this character, and he's all taken apart, and like you hear squealing, and it's like this mutiny. I don't know. I guess as a kid that freaked me out, but yeah.
That's funny. All right.
That counts.
I guess that's the worst part of the movie. Little pigs
the worst part.
But
you know what we didn't talk about? The edits made, like the re-edits, re-release of this one.
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can only think of like the main changes were like
some good ones.
Like the Wampa, like the Snow Yeti monster was in the original, but the shot of his bloody missing arm that was added in there. There was no like shot of his body. There's always that shot of the arm, but then also the Emperor, like the original Emperor had like these ugly like clay Play-Doh thing on his eyes or whatnot. But then I thought it was a good edit when they had the updated Ian McDermott Palpatine.
Yep.
Now, was Ian McDermott the original Palpatine too? Like, was he
from the not from this movie, but from Return of the Jedi? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting, or at least I don't believe he was in this movie. It's interesting. Another one that you did not mention, which I think is the most important.
Yeah, let me know.
Temuera Morrison reprising his role as really
like the voice of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Coming back as a Fett. Just loved that. I remember I remember watching this movie when I was a little kid and just being so enamored. I was like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Like I was like,
how did they get Palpatine back in there as a hologram?
As you wish. Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, it's Temuera Morrison. I was so excited as someone who loved Attack of the Clones. I was like, this movie got better.
You're like, how in the heck did they get that guy back for Attack of the Clones? All right. How'd they do that?
Here's also a fun drinking game if you are listening. Every time Brody says to Temuera Morrison, take a drink throughout this entire series and let me know if you survive.
Don't drive after listening to this podcast.
Drink responsibly.
And watch a lot of Tamara Morrison.
Dang it, Brody.
He's like, I just put my drink down. Oh, well, I guess with that said, do we have anything else we want to cover besides the ranking?
Well, yeah, what's the final score?
What's the number?
It looks like for this one, wow, it sits at a 93.6% overall.
Wow.
Boom.
I think that sounds fair.
I'm happy.
That's I think most Star Wars fans won't be offended by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I would be surprised if much else comes above this. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Well, with that said, I think it's time to take ourselves into the next segment of the show. Darth Vader, take us away.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It's hot takes time. Anybody got a hot take? Because I got one, and Christian, I think it's going to ruffle your feathers.
Ruffle my feathers, man.
So your favorite scene of The Empire Strikes Back, I find very cringy.
Mine?
Yes.
Is it because of Luke?
It's because of Luke. When Luke says, no, or when Vader says, no, I am your father. Mark Hamill, the overacting, no.
You could tell that George Lucas was like, Irvin Kirshner was like, we need to do this like 8 times, and I need you to get dramatically
just
more intense each time. You cannot overact it.
Like Kylo Ren.
I was like, man, you see the Joker in him, because a lot of like this, he's very stoic or kind of whiny, whatever. But this, he really puts everything into it. Another hot take: I think Mark Hamill is much better as the Joker than he is Luke. But that's just me. That doesn't pertain to Empire Strikes Back. This take is, I find that scene cringy because 50% of it is cringy to watch.
You know, I totally see where you're coming from, and I would agree. It's a little over dramatized, but not. And sure.
Wow.
Whoa.
I can't believe.
How did you agree?
I personally love that scene because it's just burned into my brain.
So that scene is cringy to you?
No, but I can totally see where someone would think, like, especially like you watch it nowadays, you're like, okay, man, geez, don't freak out too much, right?
But yeah, but you have
at least you have a dad.
But at least you took
at least you got a dad.
If you had to take a stance right now and someone says, Christian, is that scene cringy? You're gonna say no.
Yeah, I would say no, it's not cringy to
then,
me.
Yeah, so you can't agree with me then. You can't be like, well, I see where you're coming from. I won't vote for you, but I like you.
All right, yeah, I disagree. But I see
like how I'm talking you into.
I guess I'm really respectful in my disagreement.
Yeah, you're way too nice.
Amanda, what do you think, though?
I was glad you guys were talking about it because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Or is it milk toast?
What?
Ooh.
Nah, I don't think it's milk toast. Milk toast.
Because I feel like that's the I am your father scene. It's cringy. That's not going to ruffle anyone's feathers.
Yeah, I think it's cringy.
All right. Well, I guess
you got a Roger, man.
There you go.
Wow.
What
okay. All right. Look at that. Roger.
Look at you go.
I may have gotten a Roger, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some death threats too. So.
Oh, what? Really quick, while we're talking about Luke, his face is different in this movie. So, like, compare Empire Luke to A New Hope Luke, or A New Hope Luke to everything else Luke. He's got like that younger, sharper nose face in A New Hope, but he was in a car accident after that. He had facial surgery, and then they used that, like the difference in his face when he got attacked by the Wampa and like all that, and so the back to tank and all the healing and whatnot. That was like a good way to incorporate some real life changes and explain some
roll with the punches.
Yeah, roll with the punches, literally.
Or the crashes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do we have any other hot takes for The Empire Strikes Back? No? Well, with that said, then Force Ghost Charlie, what time is it?
This is the way to trivia time!
It's trivia time. And Amanda, I think you have the question of the week.
I do have the question. Okay. So, in the beginning of the episode, when Luke and Han are on their Tantauns, Luke is Echo 3 calling out to who? Is it Alpha 4, Echo 7, Delta 9, or Red 5?
It's a good question.
I feel like I should go first, Christian, because I'm sure you're going to get it right, and
You're too
I will
kind.
literally just say whatever you say.
You're too kind. I could go first if you want.
Then I'd get the point, because I'm just going to mimic it. I'm promising you. I'm just going to.
All right.
I'm
Guess,
going to
Brody.
cheat off your scores.
Go.
I'm going to say Echo 7.
Echo 7, okay.
Echo 7, baby.
Echo 7 is correct.
Right on.
Wow, you copied me.
I did. Right on. I took a trust. No, yeah. Echo 5, or Echo 3, Echo 7.
That's so funny. Yeah. I'm glad you gave me the multiple choice, because I was just going to say Han Solo.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, cool.
There you go.
Well, that was fun. So yeah, 90.3, what is 90.36 or whatever we said, or 93.6. That's a pretty good.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah.
That's where Duel of the Ranks puts it.
So it's official.
It's official.
It's
on the website.
That
It's
is
the
the
official
score.
ranking, yep.
You know what's funny? IMDb only puts this movie at an 8.7.
How dare they?
Ooh.
I know. So clearly we know what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, we really do.
And if you, yes, you listener, want to hear more about or see more about what we're talking about, go to the dueloftheranks.com website, where you're going to be able to see our store. Christian, you run our Twitter. What else stuff can they expect to find on there?
Twitter, we post a lot of the numbers there. People love numbers. We love the numbers. And we also can be interactive with like hot takes or maybe unpopular opinions.
Yeah.
You're welcome here because we'll entertain it. And
We might not agree with it,
we
but
might
we will
not agree
entertain
with
it.
it. We will give you the courtesy of being straight with you, but we're not gonna hate on you for it.
We're not going to not discuss Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
That's
you
what
have a
comes
good
down
hot
to.
take, we'll feature it on this
Yeah.
show.
Well, there you have it. Submit your hot takes at dueloftheranks.com. Otherwise, we're going to see you next week as we break down the Return of the Jedi. See you then.